لو أن لنا, the people on judgment day say, if we had another chance, فنتبرأ منهم كما تبرأوا منا كذلك يريهم الله أعمالهم حسرات عليهم وما هم بخارجين من النار. Now look at this. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا. People, consume whatever you may find within the earth that is halal, good and pure. Now Allah is coming to the point. You should be concerned. What should you get for yourself in this life? What's the only metric? Something that's halal, good and pure. Allah removed what from you, from the, get something that competes with someone else. Get something that makes you feel like you're above somebody else. Get something that, just all those concerns are gone. Just one concern, just make sure it's halal, good and pure. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And don't end up following the footsteps of the shaitan. Why is the shaitan being mentioned now? Because shaitan was obsessed with comparing himself with Adam. And now you and I are buying things or following things and consuming things, all driven by one thing: comparison. Comparison, comparison, comparison. Let shaitan go is basically let comparison go. Let comparison go. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. There's another really important element here, and I know I've shared a lot with you, but I want you to keep up with me here on this piece. Allah put something in us that makes us profound thinkers. Allah put in us the ruh. And now that Allah is mentioning shaitan, there's a subtle point that I want to bring to your attention. When Allah created Adam alayhi salam, before Allah created Adam alayhi salam, He told all the angels He's going to make him. Before we were made, Allah told the angels, and that included at the time Iblis too, He made the announcement that He's going to be making a human being, and He also told the angels how He will make him. إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرًا مِّن طِينٍ. I'm going to make a bashar, a human being, made of mud, dirt. But then He said, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِن رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. And when I'm done balancing him and perfecting him, and then I'll blow into him my ruh, then fall into sajda. So now Allah told all of the angels, we have dirt, and we also have what? We have also what? Ruh. The angels know we have two things. We have a physical body and we have a ruh inside us. The angels know this. We have something you can see and something you cannot see. Something that is earthly, which is our body, dirt, and something that is beyond this earth. That's why it thinks about things that are beyond this earth, which is what? The ruh. The ruh. That gives us profound, deep thinking. When Iblis, you guys know the story, when Iblis refused to do sajda, what was his complaint? He said, you made me from fire. You made him from what? He didn't say you made him from dirt and a ruh. He said you made him from clay. He didn't even mention the ruh. But did he know about the ruh? He did. He wants to pretend that the ruh isn't even there. And he wants us to believe that we're worth nothing because we shouldn't be using the gift that Allah gave us. And if you take the ruh out of the equation for a moment, then all we are is a body. And if we're just a body, we're not that different from sheep. We're not that different from goats. We're just organic creatures. Students that study biology, before they can do surgery on a human being, they cut up a frog. Because the cardiovascular system of a frog is remarkably similar to a human being. Biologically speaking, we have features that aren't that different from animals. The makeup in the end is different, but biologically, many of the components, the core components, the organic materials inside of our body, they're not different from the animal kingdom. We have skin, they have skin. We have hair, they have hair. We have bones, they have bones. And their bones are not made of a different material. It's made of the same material. What sets human beings apart? Truly apart. It's not just a remarkable body, it's the ruh. And if shaitan can get you away from honoring the ruh that you've been given, then he will make his point. Then he is just dirt. Then he is better. خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. When these leaders keep you from thinking, when Allah said, I'm created, in the skies and the earth, there are signs for people who think. Aren't those people who respect the ruh inside them? And when these people follow, first of all, those who want to create a religion where you don't think, and the ones who create it, and the ones who are following it, aren't they both violating the ruh? Isn't that the case? So he says, consume what is halal, good and pure, and don't follow the footsteps of shaitan. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. He will command you to evil and to shameless things, and you'll say things on behalf of Allah that you have no knowledge of. وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله. So interesting. When it is said to them, follow what Allah sent down, قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا. When it's said to them, follow what Allah sent down, they say, we will find whatever we found our fathers following. We're going to follow our culture. We have a heritage. I'm a proud son of this father who was the son of this one, who was the son of this one. You think we can just walk away from our entire history? But he didn't say wajadna here. He said alfayna. Alfa actually means what you find on the surface. Because an animal doesn't dig underneath to eat. With the sheep, doesn't dig under the ground to eat. What does it eat? Whatever it finds on the surface. Right? Whatever surface level, investigation. These are materialistic, surface level people. They don't think deeply. ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا. Allah says, أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. Wasn't it the case that their fathers also weren't thinking? They didn't think at all. They weren't committed to guidance at all. Now we come to the example. Let me paint this picture for you. This is not a picture of one piece to one piece. It's an entire image, entire scene, a situation compared to a situation. Think of it like that. Al-hay'a bil-hay'a. So how do we make sense of it? The shepherd, I watched a few videos today of shepherds to understand this ayah. The shepherd is, herding his sheep. And I really wanted to hear, what does he say to the sheep? And some of them say, ah, la, 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 la. Others say, brrr, brrr. Like one of them is doing a ringtone, the other one is saying, kak, 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 kak. Like they have their own vocabulary. And they don't have the same one. Right? And there was even this one video Jawad showed me today where they had these sheep were spread everywhere, and they said, oh, what did the sheep listen to? He said, kak, 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 kak. So they had some tourists come, and one tourist said, kak, 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 kak. They didn't listen. The other one said, kak, 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 kak. They didn't listen. Then the shepherd came and he said, kak, 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 and they all showed up. They know who to follow. But it's the same vocabulary. It's not like they said a different khutbah. It was the same khutbah. Why did they follow that one? Because they are tuned to a frequency. It's this, they know this is the one we're supposed to follow. Now the thing is, the one who's speaking, the shepherd who's speaking, he also knows that he is saying meaningless words. Yes? He's saying something that has no deeper meaning behind it. He's not saying, my beautiful sheep, I love you, come here, I wish to protect you. He's not saying any of that. He's just making sounds. And the sheep, they don't hear this and say, oh my God, I'm so inspired. Now I realize why I must come to you. They just hear the sound and they come. They come. Why do they come then? Why do sheep respond to these sounds? The shepherd himself knows he's making a mindless sound, and the sheep are mindless to the sound, but they respond. The reason for that is hereditary. So sheep are herd creatures. They're too weak to protect themselves alone, so they stick together. And they even without in the absence of human beings, they choose a leader among themselves. What shepherds do is they assume the place of that leader, and they lead them. And how do they lead? They constantly give them food in the beginning. So the sheep associate the shepherd with our provider. Then the shepherd always shoos away a fox or other animals away from them, and the sheep observe this, and they see him as the provider and the protector. Then the shepherd leads them off the mountain through all the way to the grass. He leads them to the grass. And then he leads them back to their homes. So they see them as the guide. So I've given you 3 words now: provider, protector, and guide. Provider, protector, and guide. Then because sheep are herd followers, when 2 sheep come, what happens to the 3rd and the 4th? They come. Then the 5th, and the 6th, then all of them come. Then all of them come. And the 1 or 2 stragglers that are lazy or a little slow, like some of your cousins, the shepherd comes and hits them with a stick a little bit, they come too. So now they know if you stay behind, the shepherd will be upset with you. He'll hit you. You don't want to get hit, you follow. So safety also, right? So fear is part of the reason too that they follow. So what were list the reasons again for me? The shepherd is their provider, right? That's why they follow him. What else? He's their protector. He's their guide. And now he's also there. They're also afraid of him. They're also afraid of him. Allah says the example of the kuffar is the example of someone who makes a mindless cry. Making a cry to someone who cannot hear anything except calls and cries. But they respond anyway, don't they? Right? And Allah is saying that even the people that are calling you to their religion or calling you away from Allah's deen, even they know that what they're saying is empty. Even they know it's just that's all it is. They know. And you refuse to think and you just follow because you're programmed to follow. Someone before you followed, you were born into a herd of sheep where everybody was following this. So you were raised, cultivated, cultured into following this. This is just what you do. It's natural response to you. You don't even think about it. That's just what you're supposed to do. You know? Like the Bell experiment with the dog, Pavlov's dog. It's like that. You just respond to the instinct. Then you want to protect yourself, and the only way to protect yourself is do what everybody else is doing. That's the only safe way. If you want to be part of this herd, this is your safety. And if you don't follow this, where are you going to get grass? Who's going to feed you? If you don't follow this, then you're not going to have your normal routine where you're safe. And you don't want to make them mad. They're the ones who take care of you. Don't make them mad. These are all the reasons why somebody would think I shouldn't come towards Allah. I shouldn't come towards Islam, because if I come towards Islam, my shepherd will be upset. And all the other sheep who are mindlessly following will say, you crazy? Why aren't you coming? He called us. So everybody's going to look at me funny. I'm going to be the only one left out. Human beings are also herd animals. If we don't have the ruh, the power of the ruh inside, we also herd animals. One of the most amazing social psychology experiments in my college days in 1765 was the social psychology experiment of consensus. It's called consensus. 500 students in a classroom. You give they're accounting students, so they know how to do good math without a calculator. The professor comes in, gives everybody the same question. He puts it on the board. Please solve this problem, 363 multiplied by 214. Please give me the answer. So that's what he puts on the board. And there's like 500 students. And they all start on paper calculating and writing the answer. It's a multiplication. It's not a complicated problem, right? But it takes 20 seconds. So they solve the problem. He asked the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. They all start saying the answer. They all start saying the same answer. But what they didn't tell you is there was two people in the auditorium, or one person in the auditorium. They don't know that all the other 499 people were told to say the same wrong answer. So only one guy doesn't know that everybody else is being already rigged to say the wrong answer. So they go to one student, second student, third student, and the guy who doesn't know, he's like, and he starts thinking, did I do the wrong calculation? So he starts doing the calculation over again. And he does it over again. And he does it over again. And every time he gets the same answer, but it's not the answer that they're giving. They're giving a different answer. Oh, this is crazy. And the professor also, he picks one from this corner, from that corner, this one, that one, people who don't know each other. So this guy's even more like, what's going on? Everybody's following. I'm the only one who's right. So then finally, after 10, 15 people, they go to the guy that's being tested. What's your answer? You know what he says? 99% of the time, 98 to 99% of the time. You know what he says? The answer that everybody else gave. And when he gives that answer, the experiment is over. Privately, they ask him, why did you give the wrong answer? There's only two responses. One response is, everybody else thought this was wrong, so how could I be the only one who's right? If so many people are following it, it has to be right. If all the horses are jumping off a cliff, that's what you got to do, is jump off a cliff. How can everybody be wrong? Have you heard some version of that in your life? Oh yeah? Everybody else is wrong, you're the only one who's right? Your cousin did it, your uncle did it, this one did it, this one did it. Oh, they're all going to Jahannam. You're the only one going to Jannah, huh? Somebody opens up a restaurant, sales are not going so well, so they open up a bar too. Halal restaurant with a bar. I've seen that a few times in Europe. I went to one place, I was looking for a halal restaurant, finally found one. I walk in, huge liquor cabinet, huge. In the middle, there's a space for like a frame of Ayatul Kursi, and I was like, yeah, whew. And this is his insurance policy. When the angels come and get him, he's like, let's just look at this one. They're like, what games are you playing? But anyway, so they're like, if everybody's doing it, I must, doesn't matter how many times I disagreed, it's impossible that I'm the only one who's right and everybody else is wrong. That was one kind of answer. Another kind of answer was even more interesting. You know what he said? These people said? They said, I knew I was right. I knew it. I knew everybody was wrong. But the problem is, if I said the right answer, everybody would look at me funny. I didn't want everybody looking at me. I like to fit in. One kind of herd mentality is, the herd is always right. The other kind of herd mentality is, even if the herd is wrong, stick with the herd. Stick with the herd. This is herd mentality. The example of the kuffar is both of these herd mentalities. They hear a mindless cry. They have a mindless response. Can't use your mind. Somebody will do the thinking for you. In both of those, somebody else did the thinking for you, all 499 people did the thinking for you, you can shut your brain off. And even if your brain is working, shut it off and just follow them. That's the idea. Summun, bukmun, umyun. Once you understand this idea, then you'll see, like, that's an old example, but like, how many people are into cars? I'm into cars. You know what car companies do really well? Is sell you the new model and make you feel bad about your model. If you bought a 2018 anything, then when the 2020 comes out or 2019 comes out, they take the headlights that were here and they move them over 1 inch. And all of a sudden, like, yo, you see the new headlights? What? And they take the grill that was going like this, and now it's going like this. So for the engineers, it was just moving plastic. That's all it was. The engineering is the same, the engine is the same, the horsepower is the same, the mechanics are the same, the performance is the same, the durability is the same, maybe even worse. What's changed? The look a little bit, to make it feel like this is newer. Why are you getting it? Because it's the new one. I have to get it. New iPhone comes out. There's a longer line for that than the line for applications for Hajj. Right? You have to have it. It came out and I don't have it? You know? There's a mindlessness. They just have to make a call. And you respond without thinking, I just do it. This is what you're supposed to do. What do you mean? Why do you want to get this brand of clothes? Why can't you get something else? Why do you have to live in this neighborhood? Why not somewhere else? And you find the answer being mindless every time, every single time. وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي يَنْعِقُوا بِمَا لَا يَسْمَعُوا إِلَّا دُعَاءً وَنِدَاءً. Then Allah took this back to the same old example. This is what I'll conclude with today. صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. في المرة الأولى قال صم بكم عمي فهم لا يرجعون. The first example was they are deaf, they're mute, they're blind, they will not come back. Remember, they won't come back. Now he's saying, and they won't think, they won't understand. Now coming back is to come back to your essence. One way you can think about that is Allah gave us a ruh, Allah gave us something profound inside, the knowledge of Allah, the fitrah, and you will come back to that fitrah. But if you're so far gone in the desert and the lights are off, you didn't follow the one who kindled the light, then there's no way you'll come back. Now Allah is giving us the next insight. Summun bukmun umyun, the same words again. The reason you won't come back is because you no longer think. Fahum la ya'qilun. So they don't use their intellect. They don't use their minds. I share this with you not just as a criticism of other religions. To be honest with you, what terrifies me is that we are not that different anymore, a good number of us Muslims. We're not thoughtful Muslims. We don't want to think about the Quran. In fact, there are many cultures in the world today where young Muslims are told, don't read the Quran, it is for experts. It's not for you. You want to recite it? Good. You want to memorize some of it? Excellent. You want to fix your tajweed? Beautiful. The sounds? Great. Thinking about the Quran? That's not for you. You have to have a degree first. You have to go get a degree, then you can think about the Quran. Asking questions about the Quran, that's not for you. That's for the ulama. You know, the ulama's job is to spend time learning and understanding the book of Allah to the best of their ability. So when you are thinking about the book of Allah and you have a question about something, you have someone to go to. The point wasn't you stop thinking, they'll do all the thinking. You don't have to do any of the thinking. That was the religions that came before us. That was the religions that had the relationship of the shepherd and the sheep. And it's so beautiful that in this religion, Allah took the example of the shepherd and the sheep. Usually, in other religious traditions, the shepherd is an image of the religious leader. And the shepherd and his flock. Jesus is a shepherd, right? And in other religious traditions, and even other literature, when you say your heart is stone, that's supposed to be something bad. And what did Allah do in both cases? Allah took something that looks bad and turned it into something good. The hearts were compared to hearts, and rocks explode like hearts explode with iman. So rocks became something, you didn't expect rocks to be something good. And Allah took the example of rocks and made it into something good. The same way the shepherd and the sheep, you would think, oh, this is about the Prophet and the followers. It's not, it's actually also about society at large. In fact, these people, when they make these calls, one interpretation of this ayah was also secondarily, oh, someone who calls, makes the call of the animal, and he doesn't hear anything except these sounds. Nobody's listening to him. Like imagine some shepherd at the edge of a mountain, and he's making caw, 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 and he only hears his own echo. And it's an empty sound. Almost a criticism of those who were doing shirk, making all kinds of prayers in front of statues, and those statues were supposed to respond to them. No, the only one who's hearing their cries right now is yourself. Nobody else hears this. There's no reality to this thing in front of you. And you know what's even funnier? A lot of the religious traditions that had gods, multiple gods, each god, many of the gods look like animals. Did you know that? Some gods look like a sheep, a ram. Some gods look like a goat. Some gods look like a cow, etc., etc. What's remarkable about that is human beings domesticate animals, and now you're worshiping the animal. And you would think they're serving their gods. They're not serving their gods, the gods are serving them. Just like the animal serves the human being, they created religions in which the gods serve the human being. So what happened was, we need rain, so we need a god for the rain. Oh, I can't have children, we need a god for fertility. Oh, there's a lot of war in our area, we need the god for war that can prepare us for battle. We need a god for protection. We need a god for this, we need a god for this, we need a god for this. So they had different gods for different problems, right? And basically, just like for animals, if you want the sheep to give you wool and the sheep to give you milk, you better provide it grass. You take care of it, then it will take care of you. Well, these gods, you better sacrifice an animal in front of it. You better perform these rituals in front of it. You give them something, then they'll give you something. You have to sacrifice something for your gods before your gods will give you back something. You have to give God something before He gives you anything. By the way, the Quran completely destroyed this idea. Allah is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Human beings give Allah or don't give Allah, worship Allah or don't worship Allah, thank Allah or don't thank Allah. They all get to breathe. They all get to live. They all get to enjoy life. Even the ungrateful ones, even the atheist who curses Allah, who curses Allah's Prophet ﷺ, gets to breathe in and breathe out the air that Allah created. His lungs still obey Allah. His heartbeat still obeys Allah. And Allah didn't ask for anything in return. You know? So this is, ما أريد منكم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون. I don't want them to provide me any rizq. I don't want them to feed me. Inna Allah huwa ar-razaq. Allah is the one that provides. You're not the one who provides. But in all of these religions, you have to provide something to the God. And then you get something, Say 5 Hail Marys and put $5 in the box. Then it will come back to you.